We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the Top Gun Sales Boot Camp training. Let's dive right in. Nora, what you got?
My numbers for yesterday were 28%.
Nice. Anything else you got?
Yeah. So, I appreciate the opportunity to have been on this podcast for however many months. However, this morning is going to be my last one on the live session. So,
Nice.
Just wanted to inform everybody.
Cool. Anybody have any questions?
Nope. What is that?
I think it's time for me to stop, maybe. Just for, I don't know, my own reasons, I guess.
Gotcha.
I was telling Luke before I met a 20-year-old Amish gal yesterday. And man, I've never met anybody like her before. Holy cow. And so talked to her last night and she wants to become an EVA and work 35 hours a week. And and um and she got two other jobs. So that would put her to 94 hours a week. I'm like, you want to work 94 hours a week? Uh-huh. But not forever. And so only for 2 to 5 years. And she just fascinating. I was laughing. Like Elaine was laughing too. And it's just like, I don't even know what to do. I've never met a young lady, much less an Amish young lady. And it's like she knows what she wants in life. It seems like she knows what she wants in life. And what's really unusual is it seems like, again, I've only talked to her once, but she it seems like she's willing to do the work and willing to make the sacrifice and willing to go ahead and take the risk to get what she wants in life. So it brings back memories when I was 25, 26. And I was in the mortgage industry building a straight commission sales force. And, they're mostly young men. And young men are fascinating. And then Mary Glavin came along. And she was a young lady. And, she was probably, early 20s. And I'm telling you, that girl, it's interesting on how one person like changes everything, like everything. And so she altered the whole. I'd never seen anything like it before in my life. And so a lot of times in sales, and somebody who's really good in sales. I mean, like, it's just like, in volleyball, in competition. Like, you can go ahead and have a team that wins 21-2, and one person flips over to the other team, just one, not even like definitely not the youngest, probably the oldest. And it changes everything. It alters everything. I mean, everything gets altered. And so, but there's, but often like the crab in the bucket principle. And so, like when we were out in South Dakota, the Lakota Indian Reservation, and we were there in a teepee with an Indian chief. And he says, we Lakota Indians are like crabs in a bucket. And I'm like, I don't understand what that means. And he's like, we, like, we're all in a bucket. And when one crab tries to crawl out, all the other crabs pull him back in. And I'm like, huh. And so people think of poverty financially. And that's true. And they were the poorest county in the whole United States. But when Ginger Ann was 11, she and I went over to Russia and saw the same patterns. I saw the same patterns over there. And so when you grow up, I've shared this in the past with my older brother, like he went ahead and purposely got lower grades so he fit in with the group. I never had problems with that. But it's like, so what will often happen in a group when you get one person that is so different than everybody else? What often happens to that one person?
You get pushed out.
Yeah. Why?
Could be different reasons.
But
One of them
go ahead.
was it because so the group doesn't feel bad about themselves, or
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, it's like because they want to feel good about themselves. And so when you're racing, when you're racing with other people, like you want to play with like pickleball, you want to play with people who are better than you, so you get better. And so it's interesting to see the dynamics of people and how things work. And so it's going to be, I think personally, I think it's harder to go ahead and listen to a rebroadcast of something. So it's funny because I told her, I said, yeah, I'm laughing. I'm like, your mom, is she okay? Your dad, he's okay. Like, and she wants to get married, and
How old is she?
she's 20.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And she wants to get married, and she wants to go ahead and have kids, and she wants to buy property.
Did you tell her about Luke?
Well,
He's single too. She's single.
Oh, you think it's that easy? Two single people? No,
I don't know.
there's a.
If she likes to work so much and Luke doesn't, then
Well, I'm not saying that, Luke. Like, I mean, I said, have you ever worked 94 hours a week? Well, some, yeah. I'm like, well, I've done that, and that's, I mean, and so, so yeah, there's a new business that I've got going. There's one guy that I mentored, and he went ahead and said, yeah, if you can find me a wife, I'll pay you $1 million. So that this could be a very, very profitable business. to go ahead and do matchmaking. So I did be on the pre-show. I did go ahead and say something to Luke about her. And so like people are fascinating in how, so like what would, I mean, I would think that somebody, somebody who's smart, like if they're in the bucket, like I would think that like if somebody comes along and is willing to do crazy amounts of work and so much delayed gratification, like I've never met anybody like her, English or Amish, but especially in the English or in the Amish world. It just goes against a young woman. I mean, I've never even met a man that's willing to do that. Like, much less a young woman. It's like, holy cow. Like, where'd she come from? So what would the group, so I was talking to her about one of my goals. I said, I would love to go ahead and, so I was on track at the age of 27 to, earn $460,000 a year. And I've been thinking, like, I really would like to do that to a young man. And she's a double analytic. And then a a driver secondary, and then an amiable secondary. I mean, those double analytics, they got something going. And so, like, if I was, I mean, I'm willing to work hard. That's pretty clear. People have said a lot of things to me over the years. I'm dismissive and don't know if I'm going to heaven and pathological, but nobody's ever said anything. Maybe it's coming soon that I'm lazy. And so if you go ahead, like, how do you go ahead and forge a group to where everybody benefits? She's not better. I don't think she's better. She's just fascinating at 20. And we were talking something about, and I don't know, I asked her something, and she said, well, like, she's a seer into the future. She said, yeah, I've seen, couples, a husband and wife, and the husband dies and the wife is in her, 60s or 70s, and she has to go out and work. And so, yeah, it's just fascinating. It's just fascinating to me how things move, like how forces move. And a lot of times when there's competition, good competition, it's for everybody's benefit, that people will tap out, which again is fine. It's okay. So yeah, just neat stuff. Kenny, what you got?
Yesterday and the day before, we met with Shoaib and Adam for reviewing the new program software, and then we talked about how soon they've said they could get started with this soon, and then I was like, okay, well, I didn't know how soon or how to determine how soon to get started with something new to replace what we have. How do you determine that?
Well, I mean, it would be, so Action Vision. I don't know if you guys even know this part of the story. So Synergy, I think it was probably about 12 months into Synergy, and man, so our first product was actually software. was a medallion marketing series, and it was a subscription. Like, we were so far ahead of the curve. Before that, you bought software, but now it's become software as a service, and we were doing that. They would subscribe monthly to it. And then they get a marketing kit every month, and so we were having a hard time deliverables. I mean, it was brutal, and we weren't making money. We weren't making profit. We're making money, but not profit. We were losing our shirts. And I went ahead and said, I need something else. And so we had a company meeting. There were, I don't know, 8 of us or something, 8, 10 of us. And we rented out a hotel room, and it was so hard. It's like, Mark, you can't spend money doing this and take time, just work. And I'm like, no, we need to get together. So we had computer programmers, we had graphic designers, we had people in sales, and so we had different types of people. And I'm at the hotel room, and we're trying to set goals. And we were trying to set goals, and I'm like, I need a system that will go ahead and be able to set goals for anybody, any level, part-time, full-time employee, if they're in programming, sales, or software development. I need a system that's a goal-setting system that'll work for anybody, everybody. And so on my napkin, I went ahead and said, how would that system look? And I mapped it out. And I said, okay, I designed the system out. I wish I had kept that original napkin, because someday it might be worth a lot. But so then it was Action Vision. And we started creating it, put it into graphic design software and everything. It was all manual. And I don't know, we worked on it for maybe 6 months or something, and it got better and better and better. And it was brutal on how tough it was. And then Jack Eastman, vice president of Midwest Mortgage Services, he was using our software, and he went ahead and he said, hey, Mark, I'm just curious, your people are amazing. Like, they're just amazing. How do you do it? I said, well, kind of created what's called Action Vision. It's an internal system, and this is kind of what it does. And he says, I want that. I'm like, well, I'd realized 2 or 3 months before, I'm like, this thing's got some market capability. And so I said, well, it's not really ready. He's like, doesn't matter. Like, I want it. I said, well, it's up to you. Over the next year and a half, they put over $250,000 into Action Vision. And we built the system from it. And, that was 32, 33 years ago. And that system became the main moneymaker. So it's what I've been sharing with you guys and Jason. The system can generate way, way, way more profit. And so it's the knowledge, and you have software, and software gives you the capability to do it. And so when do you do it? There's not a formula I've figured out. It's kind of gut feel. It's intuition. And so they've got quite a bit of bandwidth, and David, if he can get going, he's got a degree in computer science, which it helps. I mean, Adam did, and it was crazy how much he's able to do. So Luke, when he said that once, and he said, well, I'd be interested in selling software. And so it's like Israel, when they were rebuilding the Jerusalem, and they were putting up the walls, and they had a trowel in one hand, cementing the boulders and the bricks together for the wall, and a spear in the other. And so there's a season, it's just like, it's just like that young lady. Um, her name's Katrina, and it's just like her, where she's like, I'm going to do a season. It goes back to Tom Kuntz and his salesperson, where he went ahead and said to his wife, he said, honey, for the next 7 years, I'm going to miss out on some of the things for the kids, and I'm not going to be at every program, and I'm not going to do this and this. But at the age of, I don't know, 36 or something, I'm gonna retire, and I'm gonna put the next 7 years in, and you and the kids are gonna make some sacrifices for that. And you don't find that attitude in today's culture, like almost never. It's never there. It's always about consumption. Well, what if I die? So it's live for today. It's live for today. It's dopamine hit, and you get it, and it's like, it's weird. Yeah. And so I don't know, Kenny. It's kind of fuzzy logic, and so you're using the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, and being able to do it.
Yeah, and I guess it's not that it's like we can create it overnight and then it'd be ready to use. It would have, if we'd have up to 6 months of tweaking it after it's created before
Well, what I did with Action Vision is I would use it. It's fast. I mean, you want to use it fast. You want to get it into production. And so that's where I was talking to you, I don't know, a few months ago about, well, when you started doing it, like what you did with yours is almost exactly what I did with mine in my software. And so it's almost the exact same thing, where you started using spreadsheets and you started programming. That's what I did with my software. And then I hit a wall, and I couldn't take it any further. I needed professional software developers doing it. And that's when I got them to do that. And so I would say that you're going to get, so right now, I would think that within 30 days, maybe 2 weeks to 30 days, depending on resource allocation and stuff, that it could be doing what your software has done, whatever time you've taken. I would think within 30 days, because you've been working on yours for how long?
the spreadsheets.
Yeah,
I mean, that's been ever since, or yeah, we started that
couple years.
company.
Yeah. So, so that I would think within 30 to 90 days, you're going to start using it right away. The thing is, it's not going to catch the other stuff in 30 to 90 days.
Right.
But you're going to start gaining, you need to start gaining benefit from it really fast. And so the biggest challenge is when you're doing two systems, you're running them both simultaneous together, and there's often double entry, double work, and everything, and it's a pain. You just hate
Right.
it. And so you don't want three. You don't want three systems. And so if it could replace yours, and run simultaneously with the others, then you have two horses in the race. That's got some interesting things about it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question? It's a little, my
Yeah.
answer is a little convoluted, but
Yeah, I think so.
nice. All right. Luke, what you got, sir?
So we have a client that specifically asked me and Kenny to service them,
Yep.
and I don't know what to do with that, because it's stay away,
Nope.
and it would.
I got it. I know what it is. Okay. So I had that too. That's the warm belly rub principle. So I had that too, where I had a good team and they wanted me to personally coach them. So they wanted me to personally coach them. And so they wanted me to do the servicing. And so what you have to do going forward is you have to sell the team day one. Day one, you have to sell the team. If you don't sell the
Gotcha.
team, day one, we're a team and this is it. And it's like I don't know if you knew this, but two oxen can produce, I think. Well, you're Amish, so you might know with horses, like two oxen don't produce twice as much power production as one. It's like 4 times or 6 times or something. So the same thing is true in a company and a team where you get two people or 4 or 5 or 6. Now, you guys so do you try to sell around it? You try to sell around it, and it's very common. It's normal. That's the way it actually should be. But you get it out in front of that, and you address that, and then you train your people better, and you train yourself better. You get better systems in place, and then you can charge more. Like if you guys say like money. I was talking to an Amish guy who's fascinating and he said, somebody 3 companies tried to come in and buy his company. And 3 of them came in and tried to buy his company. And one of the owners of this other company said, we're gonna buy you. And he's like, no, you're not. He's like, everybody's got a price. And the owner of this company, AJ, he started laughing. He says, I'm Amish. What am I going to do with another $1 million? No, I don't have a price. He says, I'm bringing something of value to the community and creating employment and productive and stuff like that. And that's the heart. Like that's my heart too. Like it's like providing opportunities for people to do amazing things. But you could charge more. Like here's the price of can I do it? If you're willing to do it and you jack that bad boy up and see if they really want it. I wouldn't try to do that initially. And then can you go ahead and compromise? Can you say, well, we'll be out there. One of us will be out there to check on it or whatever. Have they had any bad experiences with other people within your team?
Yes.
So that's why they want it. So it's great. It's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity. You could go ahead and take a chapter from, you could take another, I've never used this one, but this is a chapter from the Bible with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, where the king said, you need to do it my way. And they said, can we try it another way? Like, we're going to give us a month or 2 weeks, whatever it was. Give us a period of time and we'll show. And so there's a whole bunch of different things. It's like the walls of opportunities. There's 6 different ways you can go ahead and address that situation. So mentally and working hard, and say, okay, we could approach this and this and this. This is an opportunity you've been waiting for. Makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Questions?
It's like it's selling the team. What do you do if the team's not sellable? Or okay, the team's always
You
sellable,
get
but
better as leaders. You're not a good leader.
mm-hmm.
You get stronger as a leader. They say a fish rots from the head down, and so, leader is leadership. So you get stronger as leaders. And then you use that, you build that in to your onboarding system and training system. You use that as an example of, like, you take everything. You hope for fragrant roses in business, you hope for that in relationships, you hope for that in life, like everything's going to be nice roses, but it's not. Often you get horse manure or cow manure. And so what you do is you take those things and you plant them, and you plant them by fragrant roses. Kevin, anything you got, sir?
Yes, you said something about 18 hours of really hard credit hours and 15 easy hours. Can you
Nice.
explain on that?
Yeah, so I was married and working a full-time job, a couple part-time jobs, started a couple of my own companies when I was 20 years old. And I was, so I was in college. And so 18 hours in college, you're supposed to spend 3 hours of study for every 1 hour. So that's like 18 hours in college of classwork is like 60, 70 hours a week of work. It's a full-time load. And it was my senior year, so I was probably 21, 22 at that time. And so it was my senior year for my first degree, my finance degree. Super hard classes for me, because I wasn't that smart. Super hard classes, and a lot of them. And I'm like, dang, I gotta tighten. Like, and I was married, so I was married. I was married, taking it was crazy. And I was a deacon at my dad's church. So I was really involved in the church stuff like crazy, three days a week, and all the extra stuff that goes with leadership there. And so I said, Mark, you're going to die. Like, you got to figure it out. So what I did is I time blocked every 15 minutes for 3 months. And I said, okay, this is my plan for the week. And then I tracked all my hours. And I'm telling you, I just smoked it that semester. I got good grades and marriage good and everything else. Everything was I really nailed it. The next semester, I went for my marketing degree. So I dropped down to 15 hours, and they were easier. So I had 30% less work, and it was easy work. And I went off my system. I didn't track all my hours, and I got worse grades then. So an airplane is designed to fly. It'll wear out faster on the ground than in the air. I think human beings, they're designed to fly. They're designed to do amazing things. And so when you got a lot of stuff going, and so that prepared me for when, got married, or when we had our first child. So we graduated and then got a house and had our first baby come along. And so not only did I know how to work hard, but I knew I had stamina, tremendous amount of stamina. And so we were doing a coaching session yesterday, and it was with an Amish business owner. And I said something about budgeting. I said, do you guys do budgeting? He said, no. I said, have you ever no? I said, okay. What about your wife? What do you think? What do you think about, like, what would your wife? Well, she'd be fine. You sure? And he's like, well, I'll just tell her this is what we're going to do. And I talked to him, coached him on soft power versus hard power. And so, there's, in 34 years of owning Synergy, there's probably been 4 times that Rosanna said, can you get a real job? Which, for has one every 10 years. And so, because it's hard on the wife, it's hard on the kids, but you're building something for the future. And so you don't hard power, you don't say, woman, wife, this is what we're going to do. You're a team. You're flowing together in a team. You work together in a team. You go ahead and submit to one another. You get feedback. And I told her the 4 times I said, I'm willing to do that, honey. But I'm going to, like when I worked at McDonald's when I was in high school, every place I've ever worked, I've worked like I've owned that company. I mean, I just do. It's just in my nature. It's like you're going to give your best, whether you're working for somebody else. It's like employees. They say, well, if you pay me more, I'm going to work harder. You won't. I mean, you might work harder for a week or two, but you won't. You work harder and then you get paid. You work hard now and you gain the benefit later. And so the key is what it'll do is it'll tighten things up. It's fascinating to me on how people work 30, 40, 50 hours a week and they say they don't have a balanced life. I mean, I worked over 110 hours with 7 kids and still had a date night and family nights and all this kind of stuff. It's just discipline. And so they talk about in the book, Good to Great, disciplined people, disciplined thinkers, discipline and taking action. So a lot of times more is less. That's not infinite. Like a tightening of a string on an instrument, you can tighten it too much and break it. And that's why, it'll help you and your wife appreciate. You'll look back on things when your early years are in marriage, when your early years are hard. This flows into the next one just a bit. And so, like the first year we were married, we were in this little studio apartment. I mean, little tiny studio apartment. And we got a king size waterbed. And it took up literally half the apartment. Like it was in the back part of the apartment, and we could literally lean off the bed and get into the refrigerator. Like literally, like this thing was tiny. And so a lot of times, especially in today's culture, is the kids want what the parents took 30, 40 years to have. And it's unfortunate because they don't put the foundation in place. So having a hard time early on in your life, having a hard time early on in your marriage, it's not bad. It puts things in place. It's crazy. So hopefully, but again, it's not crazy. like my experience with men who go ahead, and there's another one, John, maybe we'll talk about it in the next one for the young men, where he just doesn't communicate with his wife. You don't communicate with your wife what's going on, you're hosed. So it'll help you, Kevin, but you got to do it right. You got to become like the man you were created to be. So great question. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.